I introduce my panel, I'd like to tell our viewers that this is a call-in show. We would request you to join us. We have a panel of experts over here with us who can explain and break down for you whatever your doubts, whatever your queries may be. And with that, let me quickly welcome our guests. We have with us Subhash Garg, former finance secretary. Monica Haran is joining us. She's the author of Let's Talk Money. Mr. R. Gandhi is a former deputy governor of the RBI. And Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, economist, senior economist, joins us on the broadcast. Let me start with you first. Mr. Subhash Garg, how do you look at this move? And do you see this having any kind of macro impact? We spoke just a short while earlier to Dr. Subramaniam. There are many who say that if there are these 3 lakh crores that are being stashed away or hoarded, perhaps, I don't know where they are being stored, whether it's the political class, whether it's netas, as has been alluded to by certain callers, is the real estate. We don't know where that money is, if at all it is being stashed. Do you see that having any kind of impact negatively as far as the economy is concerned?
See, number one, this measure announced today is the culmination of the process of withdrawal of the rupees 2000 note, which was introduced as a sort of emergent measure in 2016 because 86% of the currency was withdrawn suddenly and there was no currency available to do the transactions in the economy. The government very quickly printed about 7 lakh crores of worth of 2000 rupees note, tried to monetize the economy with that. Over last 6 years, about half of that, more than half of that is already stands withdrawn, and only about 45-46%, the 3 odd lakh crores is remaining in the system.
Okay.
So now by taking this measure over 4 months, the government and the RBI especially is trying to sort of expedite that process and complete the withdrawal of rupees 2000 note. So I don't see this as any attack or anything on the black money or any of that objective is being served. And as far as the macroeconomic impact of this is concerned, the money which was in circulation, 31 odd lakh crores, which is currently in circulation, which is about, which includes about 10% or 11% of rupees 2000 note, that does its function. It functions. It allows the trade and other transactions to take place. Even there, lots of transactions have already got shifted to the digital side, and the cash transactions in terms of the value are
I'm going to request
smaller.
you to stay on with us as with our other panelists because we have some of our viewers joining us, sir. We have with us Jacob joining us from Dubai. Yes, Jacob, your question for the panel. Jacob, can you hear me? We've lost that line with Jacob. Let's go right across to Nagraj, who's joining us from Bengaluru. Yes, Nagraj.
Hello. This hitherto this clean note policy was more or less applicable to the banks for the do's and don'ts of the foil notes and cut notes and so on. But it's the first time I heard, any denomination of note was withdrawn under the clean note policy. Regarding the number of notes regarding circulation 2000, as I remember, since 2000 or even little before 2000, I don't think Reserve Bank has supplied 2000 rupees note to any of the banks.
Okay.
I don't think any banks are having any inventory of 2000 rupees notes.
Okay.
And regarding the September 30th window, in all gut feeling, I think that this will be extended.
Okay.
Common man will never be disturbed.
All right. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We have Mr. N.R. Prasad also joining us. Yes, Mr. Prasad.
Hi, good evening, Times Now.
Good evening, sir. Please go ahead.
There is an excellent move by RBI. I think they should do it periodically. Probably the next move should be there for the 500 rupees note too. But only my request is, last time we made an application for exchange of money through the hard copy of the application. Can this be made digital? That's what is my query to the panel.
Okay. KV Reddy is joining us now from Bengaluru. AV Reddy. Mr. Reddy, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Madhav.
Good evening, sir. Go ahead.
I have been in US for 10 years. The maximum currency note is 100 rupees. I just want the Indian government
$100
to limit. $100. Sorry. Okay. I want our currency to be also in 100 rupees.
Okay.
Okay. So that all these buggers, all these politicians who hand out 2,500 and all this money should avoid doing.
Well, there
all
are certain
that.
countries where you actually have to carry wads of notes if you want to actually purchase things in cash. That's the scenario that you're painting for us here in the future. But thanks so much for joining us. Let me quickly take that across to Mr. R. Gandhi, the former Deputy Governor of the RBI. Mr. Gandhi, we heard Mr. Subhash Garg a few moments ago. And, he says that perhaps in terms of cracking down on black money, perhaps this is not going to be something quite effective in that, right, if I've got him right. But there are those who are questioning that, in terms of actually going out and phasing out a particular currency, this is perhaps for the first time such a step is being taken. There are many who are questioning what's the direct, sort of benefit of such a huge move that is being taken. What's the actual impact of this, in your view?
Okay. See, withdrawal of old currency notes is a standard phenomenon followed by all central banks, including Reserve Bank of India. Also, periodically, old series notes, Reserve Bank used to ask the public to return back to the banking system and through banking system to the Reserve Bank of India. So that way, there is nothing new about asking public to return old series notes. The difference is that this time the new series, new denomination or the same denomination, new notes are not going to be issued. That's a big difference, one. And second, there is an upper limit on the number of pieces that can be tendered at one go. So that is what is the difference. So the impact or implication for the economy is going to be very, very little. I agree with Mr. Garg mentioned that because the value people will be getting, so value is not going to be disturbed at all. So by a transaction, ordinary transactions are already taking place without using rupee 2000 rupee notes through digital means or through other denomination. That's why normal transactions are unlikely to be affected.
Okay, let me quickly bring in Swaminathan Iyer, senior economist and of course veteran journalist who's also joining us on the panel. Mr. Iyer, you agree with Mr. Gandhi's assessment that the impact on the economy this time around will be minimal? It won't be like 2016.
It will be absolutely minimal. And Mr. Garg is right. I mean, this is not going to make a difference to black money. It was proved by demonetization in 2016. Black money is a huge problem, but it is not held in the form of currency notes. People are holding it in the form of all kinds of other assets, including foreign assets. It is, and there were some people who thought an enormous number of notes will not be returned in 2016 and we will kill black money that way. All the notes were exchanged. So it's very, very clear that this is not going to have any impact on black money. Over and above that, it will create some amount of discomfort for people doing large transactions. But there is a case for saying that we are moving away from cash towards digital transactions. And this will assist that particular process. So to that extent, you can say it is a minor step in the right direction. It is not a major step. It does not change the economy. It will not kill black money. And while it will have some discomfiture for some people using transactions in notes, relatively minimal impact. And to the extent we move towards digital transactions, it's an okay thing.
Absolutely. Let me bring in Monica Hallan on that note. Monica Hallan, we've seen, of course, this move. And if I can play devil's advocate here, there are those who would say that, even this move to digitize transactions, there was some kind of talk of there would be a tax there. We've seen what's happened as far as credit cards are concerned with a 20% tax being announced. Of course, both those moves have since been clarified. But there are those who say that if we're moving more and more towards digital, who's to say that those moves won't be taxed in the future because there's perhaps no free lunch? So how should the common citizen see this move?
So I'll just take the first part of the previous, what Swami was talking about the attack on corruption. So here I'm hoping that there were lessons learned from demonetization because yes, the money did come back to the banking system. I think the government should have been ready with big data analytics to find out who was putting in disproportionate income into the banking system in 2016. Now cut to 2023, if that lesson has not been learned, then the deposits which will happen now, and I think this is not a surprise to anybody that between 20 to 80% of a real estate deal is still in cash. It is not a surprise to anybody that corruption is still very high when you go down to the state level, at the local department level. The price for a project is still 5 to 10%. I don't think anybody should be surprised to know that cash is still changing hands. People are still using these notes.
Okay,
So if
let me quickly...
money does come back, no, just to complete this point, if this money is coming back, I mean, you know, all of us are veteran taxpayers, the government must see where this money is coming from and do the due diligence, find out disproportionate assets. The same thing with the LRS story.
Okay.
That, you know, if there are 5 people using those credit cards, go after them and not the rest of us.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important point coming out of this. We've seen, of course, a huge reaction to that as well. Before I go across to Mr. Mehrotra, we have some more viewers joining us. Radhakrishnan is with us from Bengaluru. Yes, Radhakrishnan.
Yeah, good evening, Madhav.
Evening, sir. Go ahead.
Good evening, Madhav. Yeah, I welcome this no because it is not going to affect the common man. And I have not seen 2,000 rupee notes for the last 2 to 3 years. We are all using only digital transactions, and it will have a little impact on the, common man and the economy.
Okay.
I welcome this decision.
Okay, you welcome this move. Ranjana is now joining us from Coimbatore. Yes, Ranjana, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Madhav. So, as a common man, we both are working, me and my husband, we both are working. So what happens is my husband falls into the highest tax category. But how the cash is removed from our life, that I would like to mention, how this is not going to affect us. See, I have not seen 2,000 rupees note since quite a long time because for groceries, we mostly order from Big Basket. I'm not giving any cash over there. It is a digital transaction. For flight ticket booking, make my trip, I'm not again doing any cash transaction. It's a digital transaction. Unless it is not going to give cash to my house help.
All right. So by and large, digital payments have worked. We've already discussed that. Thanks so much for joining us, Ranjana. Let me quickly get a comment from Rajan in Pune. Yes, Rajan.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, Madhav and team. See, I am a common man. And for last 6 months, I have not seen this 2,000 note at all. So, and at the same time, whenever Modi ji takes any decision, be sure that he has some homework behind it.
Okay, he has some homework behind it. That's your view. We have another viewer joining us in just a few moments. But before we go across to them, let me quickly get a response from Mr. Mehrotra on that. Mr. Mehrotra, people are saying by and large that it's not really going to impact us. A, we anyway are doing digital transactions, and B, there are a whole host of callers. There have been close to a dozen callers who've said we've just not seen a 2,000 rupee note in several months. So the overwhelming majority, it appears, is actually okay with this move because they feel it's not really going to impact them.
That's absolutely right, and that's the view of the panel as well. So I think we are all on the same page here. And why should we be surprised, given that only 10.8% of the total legal currency is currently in the form of rupees 2,000? But I want to go back to a point that was just made earlier, that has the government learned any lessons from demonetization? Meaning, most of the money came back. Was machine learning and big data used to actually mine that data to find out who deposited that money?
Okay.
And the interesting and important point is that this money is also going to come back, but in order to use machine learning and big data, you need to have sufficient number of staff.
Okay.
Has the number of staff been increased? If you do an inter-country comparison of India's tax staff relative to size of revenue, size of GDP, you will discover that we are at the bottom of the league table.
Okay. That's one area. That's one area where certainly the government, we hope it's listening, and that's certainly an important point you've made there, Dr. Santosh Mehrotra. But we're completely out of time. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Swaminathan Iyer, R. Gandhi, and Monica Hallan for joining us this evening. And